From one gamer to another, assuming you are one, here are the video games I played in the first third of 2025. First, we have Ys, Memories of Celceta. Yeah, I'm not calling it Ys anymore. As I've come to learn, the storyline of the Ys saga is all over the place. Case in point, Memories of Celceta, a port of a Vita game, is a reimagining of Ys 4 Mask of the Sun. It takes place before Ys 3 and after Ys 10, which were released last year. Video games! They just make sense! I figured I may as well play the next chapter in the series canon. Plus, this game was rotting away in my PS4 hard drive for long enough. We see Adol wander into town, looking like he hit the keg a little too hard last night. I mean, when you see a cat walk like this, you know you should start taking it easy. Adol is soon met by Dogi, this guy, Duran, who apparently sees Adol as a meal ticket. So does Falcom, so I can't judge him too harshly. I then went into a mine for a rescue mission, and I came across this armadillo/mole. My tip to help you in this fight is to not do this. Adol and Duran are then tasked to map out the local forest, since travelers tend to easily get lost in it. The real meat of the game begins here, as you journey from one area to the next, often wondering, where the hell do I go from here? This is the way Ys games were, and probably should be. Ys 10 actually took a step back from creating labyrinths to focus more on battle systems. But Memories of Celceta reminded me more of Ys 8, which also encouraged exploration by giving me multiple exit points. The music also reminded me of Ys 8, since it's mostly synth delivering very catchy melodies. Combat is also very similar, as it's team-based, and different attacks work efficiently on certain enemies. As you progress, your characters learn new skills, which can be leveled up. I found that some of the earliest skills were enough to get me through to the end, but then I was playing on normal difficulty, so the game was more forgiving. The poison status is no joke, however, as it could easily bump me off early in the game when I had few HP. At first I was more focused on filling out the map rather than meeting objectives, but I actually recommend you meet objectives quickly since they expand your team. The story has the theme of deception with good intentions is still deception which could bite you in the ass someday, which is the kind of theme you see in hokey sitcoms all the time. The game world is pretty big, so fast travel is a must. At first I could only travel between monoliths of the same color, but eventually I was granted the ability to fast travel to anywhere at any time. I hear the game can take you around 20 hours, but it took me more than 30. I sure like to wander around, I guess. For anyone interested in the Ys series, I recommend first playing Ys 8, as it's a more modern game that's very colorful. But Memories of Celceta doesn't have as many systems, so if that sounds good to you, then by all means. I got it on sale for $15, which is about right for an old school game like this, which can have pretty dirty jokes, like this one. Next is Mega Man 3, as it is on the Mega Man Legacy Collection. I don't really have to put this in this video. It's not like I played this for the very first time. So now let's go on a journey of discovery as I go through every classic game. No, I've beaten this several times already, but I got into the mood for it thanks to a YouTube video of synthesizer covers of Mega Man songs. I had already gotten the trophy for Mega Man 2, so the next best game was a natural choice. Back in the day, the Mega Man games ditched the usual scoring system in favor of tough but fair gameplay. I'm a little ashamed to say that I used the rewind feature many times, because cheap deaths like this one really suck, don't they? And we got disappearing platforms. Everyone loves these sections. Damn it, I know I can make it! I can see it happen! Just not as quickly as I'd like. And then my sphincter clenched when I saw this bottomless pit, so I was like, nope. Who's a good boy, Rush? Who's a good boy? You are! Yes, that's you! As per usual, the game starts with me confronting 8 robot masters. But after I beat the last one, 4 more levels become available, which look like previous levels, but they're longer and harder. In each level, you confront 2 robots, which are programmed just like a Robot Master from Mega Man 2. The Game Boy series did this regularly, but I don't think any other NES game has you revisit older bosses. And then you're on to confront the insidious Dr. Wowie.
Dr. Wowie.
Yeah, that's what I said. The Yellow Devil boss is such a joy. Especially with the Elect Beam, which I don't have, so I'll have to settle for rocket punches. Then it's on to beat
Dr. Wily
and save the entire world. Everyone says Mega Man 2 is the best on NES, but the third entry is a close second. It's the first game where you can slide, and your special items now have personality. The soundtrack may not be the best one, but still shows how Yasuaka Fujita was a musical genius. And hey, if you just want to get to the good part, here's the ultimate passcode that gives you 9 energy tanks at the start of Wily's castle. Finally, here's my copy of the Mega Man Anniversary Collection on GameCube. The horror stories are true. Jump and shoot are assigned to the wrong buttons, making the NES games virtually unplayable. And the programmers, in their infinite wisdom, did not include a button configuration option. I'd rather go around in this getup than boot this disc up again.
When we find that meteor, we'll find Dr. Wily.
Next is Star Ocean, The Divine Force. I decided to get this just after playing Star Ocean, the second story R. I was hoping that maybe Tri-Ace had captured some of the magic of that PS1 remake. There are 2 characters you can choose to play as the lead. I chose Ray Lawrence. He's a cargo captain whose ship was attacked by the Pan-Galactic Federation. He and his mates crash land on a planet with an underdeveloped civilization. There he meets Letitia, a princess wearing a suit of knight's armor, plus a metal skirt and a pair of pantaloons. And observe how her arms are always held up, so they don't clip through the skirt. Unfortunately, there's a language barrier that keeps Ray from explaining his situation fully, so he has to rely on... I'm just kidding, everyone speaks English. Or Japanese. Shortly after learning the basics of combat, you gain the ability to fly like Superman. You'll be flying a lot, especially in battle when it's best to ram right into enemies from afar. And there's a technique called blindside, where you paralyze foes by suddenly darting to the side while flying towards them. It doesn't work all the time, so it's best to do it to an enemy that's facing you. There are also skills you learn and program into combos, just don't forget to level them up with your skill points. Skill points also activate tiles and skill trees. And get a load of that text, which is so damn tiny you might need a magnifying glass. Sounds fun, right? Well, sure, at first. But I knew right away that all this would get tedious. And fast. The same can be said for many combat systems in JRPGs, but sometimes a gimmick can overstay its welcome. There was a game I played not long ago that also had a lot of flying in its combat. Neo, The World Ends With You. It worked for me there because the combat was incredibly fast and kept me on my toes. For all of that game's story problems, it was the combat that kept me invested. Not so here, as enemies hardly fight back and they have lengthy tells. This is also one of those games with decently large areas, with a lot of empty space and few enemy parties. Visions of Mana also had a lot of empty space, but there are also collectibles and optional battle arenas, plentiful distractions. But in Star Ocean 6, you can run around like a jackass for a long time and not see any enemy parties. Leveling up in other games is pretty fun since it doesn't happen often, such as in Dragon Age Origins and Baldur's Gate 3. But here, I was constantly returning to skill trees and plugging away at empty tiles. A tedious task that took away the thrill of getting stronger. Previous games have been criticized for how its characters look like creepy plastic dolls. Well, Star Ocean 6 shows that it was no accident, as it continues with that art style. Yeah, it's easy to imagine animatronics with latex stretched over them. Plus, the female characters tend to have pretty revealing clothing, such as this android with low-riding leather pants. And that's too bad, because Star Ocean is obviously based on Star Trek, and Star Trek would never do this. Star Trek envisions a future where mankind has moved beyond sexism and racism to build a society where there truly is opportunity for everyone. It's a show that strives to show mankind at its best. That doesn't include exploitive and sleazy practices meant to drive up viewer count. Star Trek has always been the epitome of, wait. Never mind. The story dragged at first since it was mostly about recruiting new characters and dealing with monster problems. There were also parts where characters sounded pretty smart, and other times when they didn't do enough to inquire about a developing mystery. Things do get interesting in the final third, but only if you don't mind very long cutscenes of people standing around and talking. But honestly, if it wasn't for this video, I might have given up on the game early on. It just wasn't hooking me in. Despite its inferior graphics and voice acting, the Star Ocean 2 remake from 2023 was much more fun. Its sprite characters in a diorama-like world are beautiful, and the same goes for the music and story. The Divine Force comes across as a cheap copy. And it sucks for me to say that because the numerous developers clearly wanted to make the best AA game they could, but they just couldn't capture the magic of the classics. Not even distractions like fetch quests, optional bosses, and a kind of board game can keep me from giving this a low recommendation. Maybe someday Tri-Ace can pull off a Nintendo move by looking at a successful remake and using the foundation from that for a new installment. Ow! 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 Ooh! Oh! At long last, we have Donkey Kong Country Returns for the Switch. I was really looking forward to this because, until now, there was no good way to play this game. On Wii, holding the Wiimote sideways seems to naturally be the best control scheme, but the 1 and 2 buttons are only for jumping and holding items. To do your rolling move, you have to shake the whole damn thing. Imagine doing this today. It's no wonder players got sick of waggle controls. Using the classic controller is simply not an option, which leaves us with the nunchuck attachment. This was my preferred way to play, even though I still had to shake to do the rolling move. At least this way I only had to shake one of my hands. On the 3DS there's no shaking here, but now we have a new problem. This game was clearly meant for the big screen. Seeing Donkey Kong and crew being so tiny on an already tiny screen leaves a lot to be desired, not to mention the regular bouts of frame dropping. But now, finally on Switch, I can use a regular-ass controller with no gimmicky controls. No shaking, no pointing at the screen, just 4 face buttons to jump and roll, and some shoulder buttons to hold items with. The story is that floating tiki people have risen from the depths of hell to take over Kong Island. They hypnotize the local fauna to have them steal Kong's precious banana hoard, but for some reason they can't hypnotize Kong himself. I don't know, maybe he's a Toydarian or something. Not one to let bad guys get a leg up, Kong ventures forth to take back his banana hoard, and he might want to hurry. Along the way, he'll pound the ever-living shit out of parrots, frogs, furry blueberries, and those strange tiki things. But the pig! The pig's cool. The DKC games are generally considered tougher than Super Mario, thanks to devilish level designs that require good timing and sharp eyesight. Not to mention how Kong isn't as nimble as Mario, since he moves as if he has greater weight. This game is no exception, as it's so tough Elon Musk would have to pay people to play it for him. Just kidding. He'd have interns do it. No need for payment there. Just like in previous games, the gameplay is kept fresh with new ideas in nearly every level. You can find yourself avoiding a giant octopus, jumping in minecarts, and getting shot out of cannons. Or barrels, rather. Taking this kind of abuse from barrels is pretty fun, since there's something cathartic about plowing Kong into floors and statues. Not to mention crazy situations like cart rails that don't act the way they should. I guess that's what I get for bashing the heads of these moles. One of my favorite gimmicks is the rocket barrel. All you can do while riding is press a button to go higher, and release to go lower. It's fun, but also very unnerving, especially if I want to get all the collectibles. I have to press and release at just the right times while taking momentum into consideration. Someone doing this for the very first time might die again and again, but they'll always want to try it one more time. One gimmick the game could do without is blowing. Yep, Kong blows. He's got no one to blame but himself. It was a very tedious task on Wii since I had to shake the Wiimote while pressing down. And while it's less painful on Switch, it still feels like a tacked-on mechanic. You gotta blow on anything you can though, in order to uncover collectibles such as golden puzzle pieces. When you're not playing co-op, Diddy can hitch on Kong's back and supply extra hearts and his rocket hovering ability. In some stages, hovering is very useful, but I often found myself relying on it a little too much. Cranky Kong runs the item shop, and he's cranky alright, but he does give the kind of cutting barbs he's known in the past for. He's not George Carlin anymore. He's Uncle Joey from Full House. Absent from the game are Funky, Dixie, and Candy Kong. They've been dropped out, but hey, if you want to see them, that's what the internet is for. Do I dare? Yeah, for scientific research. No. Some things are not worth the therapy bills. The game's challenging alright, but the real challenge lies in the tempo levels. At first glance, they may not seem all that hard, but keep in mind that there are no checkpoints. These stages are all about precision jumping and constant moving, since platforms often want to fall and take you with them. I suppose this isn't as nail-biting as Hollow Knight or Celeste, but it's tough enough to leave me satisfied. And aggravated. And there you have it. It's a great game made better since I can finally use a regular controller on a big screen TV. Huh? What? What is this emulation you speak of? I never heard of it before. I understand many of you are disappointed with the remastering job. Well, with different textures and missing effects. And yeah, it could look a lot better. But look on the bright side. Could look worse. Oh God, it could look so much worse. Oh dear Lord, have mercy! He's staring right into my soul! Next is Baldur's Gate 3. Kind of. I'd started a new campaign long ago, not sure if I'd ever complete it. But then I had the idea of doing something I would not ordinarily do. I went to the wicked drow Minthara to make her an offer she couldn't refuse. I told her of the runaway tieflings at the Druid's Grove and offered to help with a raid.
The cowards found refuge among the desperate. Perfect. If the inhabitants do not realize you are the knife at their throats.
The next day I went to the tieflings disguised as a friend, and after I blew their horn, I opened the gate to let the enemy inside.
You're mad. How did I not see it?
I guess I was mad, but hey, the game allowed me to do this. I fought the tieflings alongside goblins and other vicious monsters, then went further in to fight my way to the grove, eliminating tieflings and druids alike.
Praise the Absolute. She will reward us well for this exquisite carnage.
At camp that night, the goblins partied like savages, and Minthara showed her appreciation in the only way she knew how. As for my other companions, well...
What a glorious celebration. Hip deep in gore. What's wrong with enjoying a gift from our guests? Maybe, if I down enough of this swill, it'll pickle the worm in my skull.
What's your poison? Red? White? You're a conquering hero, and you want to drink foaming piss. Not that I'm judging, of course.
No. Two shadows are darkening my soul. The shadow within and the shadow without. You led me down this path. Around you, I'm not who I want to be. I should leave.
Ouch, Gale. I thought we were getting along famously. So, was it worth it? You know, slaying innocent people just so I can bump bottoms with a religious, fanatical psychopath? You know what? Yes it was. If only so that my opinion of Minthara could drop down a few rungs. If you like Minthara, good, you can have her. But still, it's a better love story than Twilight.
Leave. Now.
Next is Octopath Traveler on PS4. This is the game that convinced me to get a Switch. Well, I was bound to get a Switch anyway, but this game made me hurry my ass up. It had virtually no hype behind it until launch day, when suddenly every YouTuber worth watching sang its praises, saying this was the game JRPG fans had been waiting for. 6 years later, it finally came to PlayStation, and I waited for a sale. It's the origin of Square Enix's HD 2D rendering method, so it may look a little dated compared to more recent games in this style. While Octopath 2 kept the pixel art mostly limited to the characters, here it's everywhere. Every ground tile, tree, bush, fence, etc. have pixels slathered all over them. It's meant to make the game look like a 16-bit title that suddenly gained a third dimension, but I understand if it seems off-putting to some. The game is about as I remember from the Switch version, with this brilliant system where you earn and spend battle points to attack more times or make special attacks stronger. Speaking of the Switch version, let's take a look at it. Oh no. I had actually forgotten how bad it looked on Switch. The video signal may be 1080p, but the native resolution is far from it. There's also some warping going on as the camera in battle sways back and forth. It's like I'm seeing this on PlayStation 1. I hear the Switch really struggles with the Unreal Engine. Then again, here's Live Alive on Switch, or however the hell you pronounce it. It looks a lot better because programmers had no doubt worked tirelessly on improving Unreal's performance on Switch. Anyway, here's my B team kicking the crud out of higher level enemies because I transferred my A team's late game equipment. Now my B team can level up in no time. If you've only played Octopath 2, the first game is worth a shot. The character stories aren't as good, but I think they're worthwhile.
Lessen the hunt. Coming. Raise light.
Next is Mega Man 11. I'm not that much of a Mega Man fan, which is why it took me years to finally get this. When I recently saw it on sale for $10 or $15, I don't remember how much, I got it for the hell of it. And oh my god, this game is pretty damned difficult. Again, it's not as hard as Hollow Knight, but it's harder than I anticipated. We're talking insidious level design with precarious platforming and enemy projectiles that are pretty hard to avoid. And look at this shit! Just getting through this part made me grit my teeth right down to the nerves. The bosses, now free from NES hardware limits, can move blazingly fast and take on different forms. And yeah, I wasn't very good at avoiding damage on my first go-rounds. The stages are surprisingly long. This might be the one Mega Man game with the longest initial stages. I'm guessing the devs wanted to make up for how there's only one main villain, thus there's only one villain headquarters. I ended up playing the game on easy because Master Mega Man player I am not. And I'm not interested in training either, which is certainly one reason why I spent all my Bolt money on items that gave me an edge. The story is pretty cheesy, but it's the kind of thing that a child would think up of while playing with action figures, which suits this franchise just fine. It's really just a setup for the double gear system, which allows you to slow down time and enhance your weapons. Slow down time may seem like a cheat, like exploiting slowdown in an NES game, but this game is specifically designed for it. Sometimes you have to slow down time, or else you die.
Space is warped and time is bendable.
The soundtrack is funky synthwave that makes no attempt to switch up the sound for some variety. It's overall disappointing, if only because there are no kinds of the earworms found in earlier Mega Man games. Finally, I just want to add that, yes, I had one spot Mighty Number 9. I never beat it because I just couldn't defeat this one boss. Plus, always having to zip through enemies was pretty tedious and felt unnecessary. And despite the Kickstarter campaign raising $3 million, and the game being made in Unreal Engine 3, the game looks pretty derpy. Of course, there's a theory, and mind you, it's just a theory, that the developer Concept put much of that money to work on a game called Recore. Now that looks like a $3 million game. Wouldn't you agree? Next is Baldur's Gate 3. Yes, again. This time I created a new character and did something very few players do. On their first playthrough anyway.
Wait! Get me out of here! I can help you! If you leave me, I'm dead. Please!
Nope. Bye, bitch.
6.5 hours later.
Oh, why? Why did I leave her behind? Oh, she's dead because of me. Deader than a doornail. And I could use a friend now. Oh, there she is.
Try killing a couple of these monsters before you die. Lessens the load for me.
What? Screw you. You can't tell me what to do. I do what I want. So, I got two choices here. But why play those when I have this? Last year, Persona fans were treated to something kind of old and something very new. I mean, Metaphor ReFantazio is basically a Persona game. This guy is Igor. The so-called archetypes are personas. Many of the labyrinths have safe rooms. Supporters are the same as confidants. And there's a calendar with strict deadlines you have to meet. Just like in Persona! But even though I am a Persona fan, I was on the fence about getting this. I guess my hesitation was overcome by how Metaphor won RPG of the Year at the Game Awards, practically stealing it from Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. You'd think the judges would be like, "Congratulations, Square Enix, on spending a shit ton of money to deliver rock-hard abs on hula girls." I figured any game that pried away the limelight from Square Enix's AAA offering was worth looking into. If I told you the story was about an election to decide who will be the next king, you might understandably say, "Wow, that sounds like the most boring piece of shit ever burned into a Blu-ray." Like, what do you have to do? Put together a platform? Hire volunteers? Make speeches in grand echo chambers? Well, of course, it's not as simple as the ministers announcing that there's to be an election. No. Instead, the royal palace rises into the sky with the old king's face sculpted into its underside. And it's the king's deceased spirit who announces that there's to be an election, determined not by ballots, but by the hearts of the citizens. Sounds utterly insane, I know, but that's Atlas for you. You play as the protagonist, a young man with longish dark hair. I know there's so few of them in these games. Your protagonist, after a botched mission, decides to throw his hat into the ring and run for kingship. Although it's not really as simple as I'm making it sound. The villain is Count Luis, a young upstart who quickly climbed the ranks in the military. And by the way, this isn't Luis. This is Sauron the Deceiver. This is Luis, who bears a resemblance to Sauron that might not be entirely coincidental. He promises to bring equality to the nation. But if you know politics, then you know that equality has a rather loose definition. Persona 5 also has a politician as a villain, but his politics were kept vague so the writers didn't step on any real-life toes. But with Luis, his politics are clear. Survival of the fittest is the way to go. And I think it's this story that won the game RPG of the Year, for its view of how election candidates can exploit anxiety and tribalism to get ahead. Before I got the game, I considered the possibility of the player actually losing the election, in which case you have to fight an extra boss or two. But no, the outcome is the same no matter what you do to drum up support. Just go through the story and you'll see the same ending as everyone else. I think this is a missed opportunity. The game could have further encouraged you to play smarter, not harder. But no, it's just another JRPG with a chosen one complex. Combat is about the same as in Persona 5, with flashy menus and everything, with the big exception of you being able to switch archetypes with any party member instead of just the main hero. Combat is mostly turn-based, but if you're at a high enough level, you can defeat enemies in the field with a single hit. Labyrinths aren't too terribly difficult to navigate, but the challenge is much more satisfying than in this piece of shit. Viewers with eagle eyes may have noticed I'm wearing a DLC outfit. That's because wearing it can change the battle theme, which I prefer over the regular theme. In fact, I'm not a fan of the soundtrack period. It's not awful, and it does fit the setting. It just doesn't have any bangers. Those annoyingly catchy tunes from your favorite Persona game are nowhere to be found here. Except from annoyingly expensive DLC packs, of course. Plus, in a modern Persona game, you have romance options. But not in Metaphor. I mean, you are running for the kingship, so leaving a stain on a dress will be most inconvenient. Overall, the game is impressive in its world building and unique story, but it didn't really wow me. Maybe because I've seen it all, done it all. But that's not to take away the sheer amount of work put into it. If I could change one thing about it, I'd allow the player to save their game right after a boss battle. Usually after a tough boss, I'd have to sit through a long story scene before I was given the chance to save. It's a problem with a lot of modern games in this genre. I respect how the writers want to fully flesh out the characters, but please allow me to return to the story on my own time, right after a decisive victory. Speaking of boss battles, some of the bosses are remarkably bizarre. I mean, look at this! What the hell is this thing? What am I even looking at? Well, it turns out some bosses were taken from a Renaissance painting called The Garden of Earthly Delights. It was made by a masterful artist who who apparently had eggs on the brain. Or maybe his brain was similarly fried. It's a nice change of pace from typical monsters like minotaurs, ogres, and trolls. On my recommendation scale from 1 to 10, I give this a 7. It's a very well-made Persona clone that shows how the modern formula can apply to settings outside of Japan. And speaking of Persona, I hope Persona 6 gets an announcement soon. I'm thinking maybe the series can give the high school setting a rest so you can play as someone other than a student. Perhaps as an investigative reporter? Your confidants could be people you interview, and you're on the hunt for a serial killer who has his own persona.
Oh my god! What is that? The more I look at it, the more I want to vomit! Even if you took the sword out, it still has no face! What the fuck?
Next is Urban Myth Dissolution Center. I came across a review of this on the interwebs, and there was just something about it that drew me in. It's an adventure game about investigating paranormal phenomenon, something I was interested in ever since I was a kid. Yes, I'm like Agent Mulder, always wanting to believe in ghosts and aliens from outer space. Surely they couldn't be stories drummed up by overactive imaginations in desperate bids for attention. Could they? Whether they are or not, Urban Myth Dissolution Center helped to scratch my itch. Somewhat. You play as a gigantic bundle of nerves named Azami, who has the power of clairvoyance, the ability to see hidden things. In Azami's case, she can see shadows of the past, witnessing people's past deeds and where they occurred. She goes to the Urban Myth Dissolution Center seeking help in handling her power, where the director puts her to work investigating strange cases. Each case has the same pattern of looking through social media, then questioning witnesses on site, lather, rinse, repeat. Of course, Azami can also use clairvoyance to witness the past, which can separate fact from fiction. For instance, if you're told there was a murder in an apartment, clairvoyance can assure you that definitely did happen. Horror ambiance aside, this is a cozy game. Failure is an impossibility. If you get something wrong, you can just try and try again with no penalty. If you find yourself stuck, just recheck everything until a new prompt shows up, and then you're told where to go to next. So yeah, this game isn't about challenge, it's about story. It's basically an interactive visual novel. It doesn't take itself too seriously, as it attempts humor occasionally. The number of times I laugh, though, I can count on one hand, but I do appreciate the effort. And if you're serious about urban myths, the game compiles a list of actual urban myths that you can test out right at home. I mean, I'm not going to, but you can, that'd be cool. The synth-heavy soundtrack is playful and fun to listen to through headphones, but it can get old after a while, so I normally put the volume down. Finally, as you may have noticed, I play this on PC. Yes! I've finally broken the shackles of consoles, and now I can play anything I damn well please! Ooh, look at those prices for graphics cards. You know what? Forget I said anything. Finally, we have Disco Elysium. In the beginning of Mass Effect 2, your main character perishes in the vacuum of space. Uncharted 2 opens with you waking up in a train car dangling from the edge of a cliff. Final Fantasy VI sees two mechs crossing a snowfield, accompanied by haunting music. In Disco Elysium, you wake up in a motel room wearing only tighty-whities. Yep, this isn't exactly a game with an epic scale, but what it lacks in scope, it makes up for with an exploration of the human condition. You play as everyone's favorite protagonist with mutton chops, Harry. Yes, I meant that Harry. Of course I meant that Harry. What other kind of Harry could I possibly be talking about? He's a hairy Harry, the way he always should have been. No, you play as this gorgeous son of a bitch, Harry Dubois. He's a detective who's arrived in Marseille to investigate a murder that may or may not have been politically motivated. But he blew his last paycheck doing lines off a hooker's ass, so now he's woken up with complete amnesia. So yeah, it's that old trope where you learn about the world and situation along with the main character himself. It's too bad I couldn't name my character, or I would have gone with one most fitting. The thing about this game is that it's an RPG where you always play as the same character, where you can shape what personality he has. We've all seen this before in games like Mass Effect, but Disco Elysium takes things a step further by having you shape Harry's psyche. Instead of stats like strength and magic, you have categories like intellect and physique. Instead of swinging swords or hurling fireballs, you battle by doing skill checks in dialogue. For example, here I failed a skill check for savoir-faire and paid the price. It's okay though, it's early in the game and only cost me my pride. Other stats like Encyclopedia and Inland Empire determine the nature of your inner monologue, guiding you on what to say. When you start a new game, you have a choice between 3 character builds or making one from scratch. Basically, you can play as either Sherlock, Eddie Valiant, or Dirty Harry. Or you can play as, I don't know, Build-A-Bear. I tried out each of the presets for a few minutes, and I could definitely sense a difference. This gives the game plenty of replay value, as it can seem like you're playing a very different person each time. For my full playthrough, I chose Sherlock. I did my best to play it straight, sticking to solving the case and keeping myself clean. No alcohol, no substance abuse. It's pretty easy actually. It's not like the game pulled me into being unclean again. It just suggested I could do that. The story has several very mature themes. You got sex and violence of course, but those are just the tip of the iceberg. There's also communism, fascism, bigotry, and a certain slur word that's so bad it's actually censored. Doom? Postal? Columbine RPG? Forget those. This is the most triggery video game of all time. If you're not mature enough to take the heat, then get out of the kitchen. When I first heard of this game, when it was released on Switch, I didn't give it much thought. It just didn't seem like it was for me. That was until I read about it in the CRPG book by Bitmap Books. Here I learned that failure in this game can actually open doors instead of closing them, allowing the player to try out new things. That seemed fascinating, so I knew I had to try out the game someday. I wanted to see how the writers managed to turn failure into new opportunities. In the end though, I often resorted to save scumming in order to pass checks. Not very experimental of me, I know, but I couldn't help but be cautious due to the many chances of encountering a game over screen. Unlike the last game I just covered, you have hit points and morale points. Lose all of either of them, and it's lights out for Harry. There are healing items of course, but I liked to hoard them. Wisely so, as it turned out. A producer from Zaum Games said in an interview that he wanted this game to make players think about the world we live in, our real-life experiences. It certainly did that for me, in a way that no Tolkien-esque fantasy world ever could. I imagine I'm making this game seem droll and dreary, but there's actually some really funny bits that made me bust a gut. You got smart-ass retorts, ridiculous jokes, and flippant comments that help save the game from being too dry. In fact, there's a handful of things that are so silly and surreal, they seem straight out of a JRPG. The writers sure didn't want to make Shakespeare, they wanted to make a fun video game. I suppose there's not much else to say, so for any of you who have already played this, let me share with you that I had made Kuno a junior detective. Screw me!
Hey, was there something you needed? No, you don't. It's not happening.
He tries not to look at you. It's dangerous to acknowledge the karaoke man.
12 seconds later.
But now you're all alone. None of this matters. At all.
Do you hear that? It's the most pathetic applause in the world, Harry, made of pity. No one liked you. You hear, or think you hear, uncomfortable shifting around. A bit of laughter maybe. No one saying anything.
Thank you for listening. Yes, even to that last part. For next time, I hope to finish a game that's been in my backlog for quite a while, even though it seems fun and was well reviewed. And please give my latest ebook a chance, The Abyss of St. Marie. It's about an elven girl, Sal, who moves to St. Marie to turn a new leaf, make an honest living for a change. But St. Marie is a human city where elves are second-class citizens. An elf stepping into the wrong part of town can get into a lot of trouble. Father Rick is trying to change that, but Sal is skeptical that making pretty speeches will change anything. She still wants to help him though, because it's better than doing nothing. There's also Tyler, a magic teacher who's obsessed with a personal project. He doesn't want to get involved in any civil rights movement, but his new girlfriend seems determined to pull him right in. Meanwhile, to the east is the Lich King, who is threatening the civilized world, and his influence may reach farther than people realize. There's also my other book, A Price to Pay, about a woman with memory loss who discovers she's a powerful sorceress. She wants to protect her people, who are threatened by dark forces that the sorceress herself may have unleashed some years ago. With the Switch 2 on the horizon, it seems the gaming landscape is in for some changes, and you can be sure that YouTubers will be totally on it.
What's up, gamers? Gamecom Guy here. I want to talk to you today about the death of Xbox, because it seems the final nail has been put into the coffin. The noxious gases from the bloated corpse have come up into the air and is choking us all. It's been a long time in coming, but it's because of Game Pass. It's the best deal in gaming, but it's cost Microsoft a shit ton of money. It's just not profitable enough for sustainability. I mean, when you go through the Game Pass library, you'll find there's nothing to play. It's simply nothing. Well, except for maybe Halo, Minecraft, Assassin's Creed, Call of Duty, League of Legends. But other than that, there's nothing. Nothing at all! And that's unfortunate, because competition is healthy in any market. But I will admit, it will be nice to finally play Halo on PlayStation 5. And I'm not just saying that because I'm some Sony fanboy. It's got nothing to do with it. It's just that, I need it. I need it. I need it like air. I want it! Moving on, let me share you some tweets that I think signal the coming of the end of the Xbox brand. First, we have this respected games developer who wrote, "Xbox is dead. Just put the two X's where the eyeball should be, and there you go. Couldn't have said it better myself." And then we have this vaunted games journalist who wrote, "Xbox is poopy." A rather indelicate way of putting it, but no contest here. And finally, we have the one and only Bill Gates, who gave us all the final word. "I once donated 100 Xboxes to a children's hospital. I now regret that decision." Ouch! I mean, talk about the sickest of burns. But what do you guys think? Do you have an Xbox? Are you happy with it? Please leave a comment below, and subscribe if you haven't already. But do me the biggest favor of all, and keep coming! And for the last time, no, that is not a sexual double entendre. Please grow up.
Hi, thanks for watching that video. If you can, please consider watching my last video, and subscribe. Also, I promise that in whatever I do, I'll try not to expose myself. Again. My backlog keeps getting bigger. They just keep putting out great games. Here are the video games I played in the summer of 2025. First is Live Alive. Yeah, I'm going by the pronunciation from that Nintendo Direct years ago, even though it doesn't sound right. Saying it like Live Alive doesn't sound right either, so either way works, just pick your poison. I first played this on Switch back in 2022, and when I saw it on sale for PS4, I couldn't help myself. You know me, I love my trophies. Both they and my cat outfit keep me warm at night. So first off, this game isn't for everyone. It plays like it has an identity crisis, and there are those who don't appreciate that. It's divided into 8 chapters, plus a lengthy final chapter. Each chapter has its own main protagonist, and it plays like a different game genre. One of my favorites is Masaru's. His chapter is simply a boss rush. He doesn't earn experience, but he does learn special moves once he feels them. I'd say he's a good choice to start out with, so you can quickly get a feel for the combat system. I'm told that this grid-based battle system is old school, but I thought it was a refreshing change of pace, considering how I never played a game like this before. My second favorite stars the young caveman Pogo. His story is a raunchy comedy, the kind you see in anime all the time. And there's Oberumaru, a shinobi in old Japan whose chapter is a labyrinth crawler. You have to make your way through this castle to rescue someone, then confront the local lord. You can get rewarded for doing a pacifist run, or get a different reward for slaying everyone in the castle. By far my least favorite chapter is Cubes, whose chapter plays out like an interactive novel. This story was clearly inspired by the movie Alien, which is cool, except that you don't do battle until the boss fight at the very end. That's a bit of a problem because each chapter is meant to get you accustomed to his character's fighting style, but this chapter doesn't give you ample opportunity. And then there's Akira's chapter. It's one of the more lengthy ones because it plays out like a standard JRPG, except that you can't buy weapons or armor. You have to get those things through other means. There's this one annoying segment where you have to go to the toilet repeatedly so that one of your orphan buddies can give you free stuff. Once you complete the first 8 chapters, you fall into the final one where all your heroes band together. If you seek them out, that is. And then like the Planeteers, their disciplines combine in order to defeat an ancient evil. Unfortunately, the final chapter is very straightforward. The personality and charm from previous chapters are nearly gone here. Live Alive is sort of like Nier Automata, which has playstyles that may be different, but they share the same DNA. No matter what chapter you're in, you're going to have this grid-based combat. There's also no money system, and you automatically heal up after every battle. The story takes some dark turns, sure, but overall it's pretty silly and often immature. It's a remake of a Super Famicom classic after all, and purists should appreciate how much of the gross humor remains intact. Personally, I have no desire to play the classic version, because I'd rather have 2D sprites moving freely in a 3D world, rather than these super tiny sprites moving in an invisible grid all the time. One of the most memorable parts of the game is what you're listening to right now, the boss theme, Megalomania. It's just one of those songs that you know is pretty cheesy, but it's really awesome at the same time. I'm pretty sure the composer worked some black magic to make such a thing possible. As you should tell by now, I really like this game. It has its disappointing parts, but I like how it changes things up to keep the experience from going stale. It's tricky though, there's a right way and a wrong way of doing things, so either use an online guide, or just be extra alert. And if you miss anything important, you can just restart the chapter if you feel you have to.
Wonderful, wonderful!
Oh, my lord!
Let me guess. It's not that you hate milk, but that you can't stomach it, less it's fresh from your mother's tits.
Your mother's, maybe.
Next is Coffee Talk.
Coffee.
Coffee Talk is aptly named, for it has coffee. And a lot of talking. Not as much talking as this bad boy, but still a lot. This is a visual novel with a little interactivity. You play the role of a barista who owns the shop that only opens at night. And you're in Seattle, which explains the constant rain in the background. And you're in a modern world with fantasy creatures, such as elves, fairies, merpeople, and orcs. Your customers come in and unload all their personal problems on you. And it's cool because they buy drinks. For instance, there's Freya, who snagged herself a book deal. Problem is, she has to finish the first draft in about 2 weeks. I've written a few books myself, and I can tell you, doing that in 2 weeks might be possible. But you have to put your nose to the grindstone, be absolutely committed. And if you happen to be working full-time doing something else, forget it. You'd be in for the long haul. Anyway, the interactivity part involves making drinks. You choose 3 ingredients, then hit brew. But you'll first have to listen to customer orders, which is very simple at first, but as the game goes on, orders get harder to do. For example, Freya wants an espresso. I chose coffee for all 3 ingredients, and voila! She'll be trembling more than the San Andreas fault. I once tried my hand at making the wrong drink, for an orc no less. I thought she'd surely pick me up and toss me out the window. Instead, I was awarded a trophy, and the orc said, whatever, I'll drink it anyway. The people of this world may be fantasy folk, but they have problems just like us in real life. Here's an elf and a succubus who are dating. I can't blame the guy for seeing her, I mean, she's really cute. But here's the deal with having a relationship with a succubus. Pro, absolutely fantastic sex. You can't get much better. Con, you will die from it. Oh, there's no probably. Who put that there? Pro, it's a hell of a way to go. I mean, it's not like you're going to complain afterward. A pretty nifty part of the game is creating latte art. For this beefy boy, I showed off how I want to scream sometimes. If he got the message, he didn't show it. But his buddies seemed a little down, so I wanted to turn that frown upside down. I ended up making this snaggletooth son of a bitch. The customer didn't seem to mind. I imagine using a mouse would be a lot better than a thumbstick, but hell, I guess latte art isn't really my calling anyway. I met all sorts of different people in this story, including odd pairings and, well, just plain oddities. It's an inspiring story about how we're not alone in this world, so it's okay to reach out for help. The game goes for $14 on the PlayStation Store, but I actually got it on disc at the Level Up Expo in April. The price for it was $46. I guess that's what you call a premium convention price. I also got this Lupin the Third movie. It looks innocent enough, doesn't it? Until you get to the scene with the completely nude woman, and that's only the first one. I also bought some dice, such as this hard resin set with magical purple ink inside. Are you enchanted yet? And here's a hollow metal set with Legends of Valhalla holding up the numbers. I don't even play tabletop games. I just like to have dice for them. Next is Immortals: Phoenix Rising. Yeah, it's a stupid title. There is a game out there, or series of games, where you play as a murder hobo who's out to slay all the Greek gods. This is not that game. You're actually rescuing the gods after they've been transformed and rendered helpless by the great titan Typhon. The story begins with Typhon, who actually makes a good point.
They're cruel, vindictive and selfish, and like the heel of Achilles, these weaknesses will be their undoing.
Typhon stole Zeus's lightning powers, so here's Zeus going to Prometheus for help. Prometheus uses his power of foresight to tell the tale of Phoenix, who has come to rescue the gods in spite of Zeus turning all of mankind into stone in his frustration. Seems a little impulsive of Zeus, right? Oh, but that's just the beginning. It soon becomes clear, if you didn't know already, that this game is a Breath of the Wild clone. It does some things differently, but the similarities are too numerous to ignore. After a tutorial island, you begin your quest for collectibles. You use these collectibles to gain new abilities and upgrade those abilities, plus your stats. The open world has physics puzzles scattered throughout, which you solve using telekinesis powers. Puzzles and battle gauntlets are also found in Vaults of Tartarus, which are like the shrines in Breath of the Wild. And finally, you have the goal of freeing 4 of the Greek pantheon before you take on the big bad. Unlike Breath of the Wild though, I don't think you can confront the final boss within an hour or two. Oh, did I mention this game is from Ubisoft? So yeah, you bet there are Ubisoft towers in this thing. There are only 7 of them, which is pretty conservative for an Ubisoft open world game. Enemies are pretty tough in the beginning, but if you complete challenges then buy new battle techniques, you should have an easier time of it. These techniques aren't just about dealing heavy damage, but also crowd control. And since weapons don't break in this game, hallelujah, you can cream enemy parties as often as you want. The story explores actual Greek mythology, which can get pretty dark, but the tone remains humorous throughout. The game's humor is silly and irreverent, like in other games like Ratchet & Clank and Jak and Daxter. Much of it fell flat for me, but some jokes did make me laugh out of the sheer absurdity of some dialogue. Throughout the game, even if you're not doing story segments, Zeus and Prometheus occasionally chime in with their storytelling. Zeus really reveals himself to be this shallow old man who's really full of himself.
Zeus, truly a good person, murdered his first wife by getting her to turn into a fly and then ate her.
Wait, that's what happened to Metis? I thought she was visiting her sister in Babylon. Oops.
The game's personality is what really separates it from Breath of the Wild. That, and there are no villages with homes, stores, etc. And let's not forget the difficulty. There are vaults that offer a brisk challenge, while others are absolutely diabolical. They are so damn difficult that even the sadomasochists at Nintendo would think twice about putting them into a Zelda game. In the end, Immortals is one of those busy work games, even more so than Breath of the Wild, which has a much larger open world. Would I recommend this to fans of the recent Zeldas? Hard to say. I can't say for sure that the story will win you over, because honestly, I don't think people care all that much about the Greek pantheon, unless you're playing as a murder hobo. And if you're burnt out on the busy work of Ubisoft open worlds, this game may or may not win you over, so go try out the demo, such as the one on Switch here. It naturally has a lower frame rate and resolution than the PS4 port, but Switch owners should be used to that already. After several years, I finally have this game out of my backlog, and I'll give it this much. It let me kick the crud out of the mighty Hercules. That was pretty fun.
Disappointed!
Oh, without you, I would have lost the ability to love myself forever.
Actually, I stole that years ago.
Clearly. Looks like you've been loving yourself far too much. Oh, you might want to disinfect that toga.
Oh, glad you're back.
But I got Aphrodite back to her old self again. I think you might have a shot with her.
Oh, so a gorgeous goddess in love with a chicken? I'm sure that's illegal.
Definitely not illegal.
Next up is Lunar 2 Eternal Blue on the Lunar Remastered Collection. But wait, I hear some of you crying out from atop a mountain. You have to play the first game before the sequel, or else you won't understand the story. You're one of those stupid people who always read the ending to a book first, aren't you? Hey, relax. I have played the first one on PlayStation years ago. It was a roommate's copy. Years later, I went through the PSP port back when I had a Vita. So I already played the first Lunar 2 times. 3 times actually, does this one count? Lunar, the Silver Star story, had taught me a valuable lesson back in the day. The more evil a girl is, the more skin she shows. It was also one of the first anime things that taught me that even if an anime looks like it was made for kiddos, it can still have crude humor and mature themes. As for Lunar 2, I already played this one too, but that was only once a million years ago. I prefer the menu system in the sequel, and the mechanic of moving slowly in a labyrinth, except for bursts of speed, didn't bother me. The story takes place 1,000 years after the first game. Lucia has awakened on the Silver Star, but according to her, it's not the right time. She descends to the Blue Moon, where she meets Hero, who wants to help her with her mission of meeting the goddess Althena. Also, he has the hots for her, so there's that. The game then carries out like a JRPG of old, where you meet new companions with mysterious paths, and you go from one labyrinth to the next. Play the game long enough and you'll recognize the pattern. First there's story time, then you buy new equipment, level up in a labyrinth, and fight a boss. This is followed by more story time, then you buy new equipment, lather, rinse, repeat. The pattern is interrupted a few times, but that's the basic flow for the entire game. Battles and story scenes are the main highlights. The remastering job presents true widescreen, and the anime cutscenes are especially impressive. I remember how pixelated they originally were, and seeing them so clean and crisp like a remastered anime show is almost magical. There is a classic mode though, which has a 4:3 ratio and several CRT filters. So if you want to relive the glory days of having a shitty TV, all the while wishing you had a better one, kind of like the one you have now, then this is the game for you. One of my favorite story elements is this guy, Leo, who's hunting you down because he believes Lucia is the destroyer, bent on blasting the world away. Leo goes through a plot twist, which I won't spoil here, but I always thought it was amusing. There's also Lamina Alsa, who looks a little like her distant ancestor, but otherwise they're complete opposites. Something I love to do in this game is go around towns and talk to NPCs. It's something I don't usually look forward to in other JRPGs, but the people in the Lunar games usually have something funny to say. Seriously, this dialogue didn't have to go so hard and being this quirky, but I'm glad it did. And the crazy thing is that it's probably not a very faithful translation of the original Japanese text, which is fine by me. As long as the dialogue's on point while also being comedic, that's all that matters. Of course, this translation from the old working design team is pretty controversial. Some love it, others like it, and the rest absolutely hate it. In my humble opinion, this kind of artistic license with a foreign translation won't work with just any game, but the Lunar games seem to warrant it. So that's that. We played this game for the story, which is kind of like binge watching an anime show with extreme padding. The battle system with its positioning strategy is good, but nothing to write home about. This game is a blast from the past that I found worth revisiting.
Who's there?
Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition!
Going from simple graphics to not so simple, we have Clair Obscur Expedition 33, also known as Beautiful People with Filthy Faces. Seriously, just look! They look as if they belong on a catwalk, doing their little turns. But instead, they've been raised in barns, rolling around in hay. Someone should tell them to have some damn dignity. Or better yet, someone should go in there with a fire hose and wash them off. Did they seriously forget to bring soap with them on this expedition? Why, yes, I did forget. Okay, with that out of the way, Clair Obscur Expedition 33 was the surprise hit of May. The previews were intriguing, but I waited for reviews, and when hype went through the roof, I plunked down $50 for it. This is basically a Final Fantasy game. Well, let me try that again. It's what modern Final Fantasy should be more like. Final Fantasy can have jaw-dropping graphics, but it can also have the kind of combat that longtime fans are nostalgic for. The game begins in Paris, with the Eiffel Tower looking like it's in need of Viagra. Hey, I have a book that sort of starts out in Paris. Our hero, Gustav, sees his old flame wither away because a powerful magic being named the Paintress made it so that everyone who is 33 years old must die. It was the Paintress who had caused the fracture over 60 years ago, leaving the world warped and filled with strange creatures. But as dire as this setup is, there's always room for levity. Such as this trash can. Why is there a button prompt for this trash can? It leads me to believe that this trash can is all alone. It has no friends of any kind. Oh, here's another trash can with a button prompt. It's just a trash can, but maybe it can get together with the other one. They can have baby trash cans, and the Unreal Engine can make them the most beautiful baby trash cans in the world. Anyway, it's up to Gustav and his team to go to the Paintress and shut her down before this slow-moving apocalypse can continue any further. Combat is turn-based. Oh, look at that gameplay! Oh, it's so old and retro! What the hell were they thinking? Don't they know it's the year 2025, not 1995? They're so stupid making gameplay like that. Oh, cringe! 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 It's not just old school, it's gloriously old school. There's even a world map with enemies and goodies to pick up. And just when you think this game can't get any JRPG enough, you get to ride on a giant oven-baked turkey. There's this other game where you cross the ocean on the back of a giant turtle wearing goggles, but Expedition 33 takes the cake. It has managed to outquirk every JRPG out there, and that's no mean feat. And yes, I know the creature actually looks like this. But tell me that doesn't look like an oven-baked turkey from this view. The combat resembles that of Persona 5, but with button prompts scattered around the characters. and you can even whip out a gun to take out weaknesses. But this game also has strong Dark Souls influence, such as with the gothic enemy design, full of nightmarish figures who want to take you out in one hit. And I don't mean on prom night. In Dark Souls, you have Estus flasks, while Expedition 33 has Chroma elixirs, which you refill every time you rest at a flagpole. And let's not forget dodging and parrying, which are the crux of the game. Foes can hit hard, so it's often imperative to avoid damage rather than just take it and wish for the best. The key is to observe enemy combos and get the timing down right to dodge or parry at the right times. The result is your party members looking like the Roadrunner dodging the Coyote. Many times I got used to dodging successfully. Other times, not so much. It can get pretty nerve-wracking, especially when I believe that I got the timing right, but the game said nope. And finally, just like in Dark Souls, there are no manual saves, it's all done automatically. I hope this wouldn't be a problem, and I think it was at one point when I couldn't choose my party for a tough boss fight. Thankfully, there are generous checkpoints, and the fact that restoratives are easily restored. JRPG influence aside, this game has a French atmosphere, what with the accents and optional clothing. You even fight mimes, for shit's sake. Someone like Michael Bay might not like this game. What makes me say that? Oh, reasons. I heard the soundtrack was quite good, and yep, you have your moving orchestral pieces, but there's also good old rock and roll for battle themes. What's especially impressive is how each level has its own battle theme. The composer didn't have to make so many, but he went the extra mile because he could. Thanks to the Unreal Engine, the game has beautiful environments. I can't get behind the character design though. It resembles that in BioShock Infinite, but with smaller eyes and realistic skin. They look like cartoon characters trying too hard to be realistic. Especially when Gustav opens his mouth this wide. This game came about because one man quit Ubisoft due to being bored. I assume he didn't want to work on endless Assassin's Creed and Rainbow Six titles. He put together a team who worked for 6 years on a game they wanted to make. It's quite the inspiring story, but I feel it's my civic duty to inform you that not every upstart story ends with success. Speaking of stories, I'm glad I didn't have it spoiled for me beforehand. I had heard though that it got nonsensical at some point, only for everything to fall into place at the end. That's definitely true when the story takes a hard pivot. In conclusion, this is a beautiful yet grim game with a beautiful yet grim story. But if I wanted to play Dark Souls, I'd play Dark Souls. The game's reliance on dodging and parrying left me a little cold, and so, just like with Dark Souls, it's a game I can respect, but it's a little hard to like. If anything, I sincerely hope that this game shows that turn-based combat isn't dead, and that doesn't have to be restricted to games from the land of the rising sun.
Dig that funky beat.
Okay, we're here, we're facing these werewolves, gotta show them who's boss. Okay, that's effective, but still not doing damage. We need something with a bit more oomph. Pretty sure we can take him. Oh my god! What's going on here? Doomsday has come early! Why couldn't they just do that? Doesn't make any sense. Okay, let's try it again. We'll do better this time. Okay. Oh god, what just happened? Oh man, look at him. They're laughing his blood like cherry flavored Kool-Aid. Man, can't believe this is happening on stream. Oh wait, I know what I'm supposed to do. Yeah, that's more like it. Alright, now I can take out anything. Alright, the next stage is... Oh shit.
How about that mobile game, huh? If you're into that sort of thing. Meanwhile, I played through... I can't believe I did this. Persona 5 Royal. And it's not just Persona 5 Royal. is the Switch port. Sometimes I get something on Switch even though I already have it on PlayStation, just to see how well the Switch can handle the game. Well, on PS4 the game is around 38 gigs. On Switch, it's just shy of 15. That's a lot of data compression. The result is piss poor resolution. I have no way of measuring it, but I say it's between 500 and 600 progressive. It almost makes the game look like a PlayStation 2 title. It's especially noticeable in static story scenes, where jaggies and broken lines are everywhere. Truth be told, Metaphor ReFantazio also doesn't have the best resolution, even on PS5, but it's not as bad as this. With that said, the Switch port isn't all bad. Character portraits are perfectly sharp, as well as the hand-drawn anime scenes. Those are where the priorities lied. There are also decent load times and no screen tearing. If you're okay with the poor resolution, this is a decent port of Persona 5 Royal. Apparently, I was okay with it, because once I started playing, it sucked me right in whether I liked it or not. So about the game itself. I also played the vanilla version, and honestly, I could give or take the Royal Edition. There are some things I like about the Royal Edition, such as technical strikes, but the new characters seem to get in the way more often than not. The story is simply fantastic. If you're into shonen anime, then this should be up your alley. There were a few weaknesses in the story though, that I noticed at around the halfway point, and some unnecessary things that I simply didn't like, such as the Phantom Thieves renting an amusement park. Like, the whole damn thing! What the hell? I found the first 3 chapters pretty thrilling, then the story began to drag a little before picking up again. Speaking of story, I saw a little of the anime. There are some things I didn't like about it, but it was generally okay. But I still prefer the slow burn that the game gives. Even if it means I'll have to run into this boss battle eventually. It may not be the final boss, but it is one son of a bitch! I had to be prepared with the right attack setup to take advantage of enemy weaknesses, because there are 4 robots that all have to be defeated within 2 rounds, or else they'll run away and be replaced with fresh ones. Oh, and there's a time limit, which is always fun. For a moment, I was afraid I wasn't prepared, but fortunately I was. Through dumb luck. I said earlier that playing Looter 2 was like binge-watching an anime series, and that goes double for Persona 5. Half of this game is a dungeon crawler, and the other half is a visual novel. If you can't be invested in the story, then this game isn't for you. Maybe Life of Black Tiger is more your thing.
And now for a show!
Man, I'm starving.
Allow me.
Oh,
Some
yeah!
sauce, a touch of red. Bon appetit.
Oh, man, just what I want. Get out of my face! Chew on this!
Not bad at all.
Yes! Victory!
Next is Fatal Frame Maiden of Black Water. I was thinking of saving this for October, but then thought, the hell with it. It happens. This is the native PS5 port, which I got at the same time as the PS4 port. You know what that means? More trophies! I actually first played this on Wii U, where I used the big-ass gamepad controller like it was a camera. The little screen was like a viewfinder, and I moved the controller around to find ghosts and take pictures. I'm sure it wasn't the kind of thing everyone would enjoy, but I did. It was the kind of thing the gamepad was made for, and so for a little while I got my money's worth. There is no second screen nonsense with the remaster, though you still have the choice between traditional controls and using the accelerometer in your controller. The previous game, Mask of the Lunar Eclipse, which was only on Wii for a while, did a suitable job of setting up a spooky atmosphere. But with the follow-up, the devs wanted to break the chains of censorship and ramp up the gore. We're talking murder, malevolence, and a certain word that YouTube doesn't like, but it begins with an S. The primary setting is Mount Hikami, where people like to venture in order to do the S word. I don't know about you, but going around a forest in the dead of night with just a flashlight is pretty unnerving. But that may pale in comparison with wading through deep water among dozens of little gravestones. At least they look like gravestones. If I ever have to do something like this in real life, I may have to forego underwear in favor of a diaper. Finding a live woman stuck in a box deep underground is also deeply disturbing. And then there's the Shrine of Dolls. If you hate the feeling of being watched, especially by soulless eyes, then this is the place for you.
No, Mommy, I don't want to go in there. You can't make me. Is that you, Mommy? No, I guess not. Now here's a life lesson for you. Don't pick up trash in the middle of a forest, or else you may find some sword-wielding son of a bitch charging right at you. The hallmark of the Fatal Frame series is battling goats not with a proton pack, but with a camera. You do damage by taking pictures as usual, but in this game there's a bit more strategy to it. Your initial shots break off spirit pieces, and the more of these pieces you capture in a shot, the more damage you inflict. And twisting your controller around is key to getting these spirit pieces. It's a simple concept, but it makes the combat in this Fatal Frame entry all the more interesting. And considering how difficult it was just to move around in the PlayStation 2 titles, it's no wonder this is my preferred way to play. The game is episodic where you can easily revisit episodes. Going off the beaten path and finding collectibles is helpful in getting points, which you then spend on camera upgrades. And since there are 3 playable characters with 2 cameras among them, you have a lot of upgrading to do. This may not be the very best survival horror game, but it has just enough spooks and scares to bring me back every now and then.
Don't get up yet. Stay there. You need to rest.
So you're just gonna sit there and watch her sleep? And this is supposed to be a tender moment. Okay then. Pokemon, gotta catch 'em all! Pokemon, keep 'em in my little balls! Pokemon. Now that I got that out of my system, let's talk about Star Ocean First Departure. Arrgh. I was going to start up Grandia 2 until I was reminded that this was still in my PS4 hard drive. I loaded the save file made about 5 years ago and picked up from there. For some damn reason, I let the game languish. Maybe I didn't think I'd like it, but not long after starting it, I realized this is just good old story-driven JRPG goodness. The story is based on Star Trek, with starships making contact with an underdeveloped world. Some intergalactic assholes have made this world a testing ground for a bioweapon, so our heroes go into the past to find a solution to this crisis. So yes, the story takes a cue from Star Trek 4, the one with the whales. The early Star Ocean games are well known for their skill systems. Unlike in real life, you can invest points to gain skills that raise stats and unlock specialties. For example, there's the scouting specialty that can raise or lower the enemy encounter rate. It's like a cheat you have to earn first through normal gameplay. Most of these skills are only available after you buy books for them using in-game currency. Kind of sounds like a raw deal, but well, when's the last time you played an Assassin's Creed game? Spend money, save time! Of course, you don't have to invest in skills. You could largely ignore them if you want to make the game harder for yourself. Good luck with that. The menus may be complex, but battles are pretty simple. You press a button to hit bad guys, and use the shoulder buttons to hit them in a different way. There are also spellcasters who slow down battles with their mandatory spell animations. The game has several difficulty spikes that demand level grinding, and that includes the final boss. He whooped me the first time around, so I included another spellcaster and did some leveling for several hours with YouTube videos as background noise. Overall, I had a good time with this one, and I'm not sure why I dropped it all those years ago. Maybe it was because of the soundtrack, which I'm not a big fan of, or maybe the lack of direction, or maybe it's because of Dorn showing off his ass in every victory screen. No, I'm sorry Dorn, but I don't want to be looking at your butt cheeks throughout the whole game.
Listen, Roddick, we've got to do something about Welch. She won't stop chasing after all the men in town.
Oh, come on. I gotta find one while I'm still young, don't I? Can't very well do it when I'm old and wrinkled.
What was that?
I don't remember anyone saying your name, Ilya.
Welch, what kind of guy are you looking for? I'm assuming you aren't just casting around blindly.
I suppose I want someone who's reliable and someone who can make decisions. In other words, the boss type of guy. What? Like Ronix, for example. Ooh, I think he fits the mold pretty well. What? It's true that he's a little older than me, but that makes me feel like he'll be there for me when I need him, you know? What? What's wrong, Ilya? Why are you acting so surprised? Are you serious about what you just said?
Thank you for watching. You know, this year I went ahead and did something that I wondered if I ever get around to doing. I sold my older consoles and games on eBay. We're talking PlayStation 3 and Wii, and a humble collection of games including those for GameCube. It was nice to have them and look at them occasionally, but I had no real desire to play them again. Besides, some of the best games on these systems have been remastered or remade, except for Eternal Darkness, which is a shame. At least my old games now have a chance of being played and enjoyed by others, rather than collect dust right under my nose. Most of these things were sold on eBay, but my Nintendo Wii went to the new Pink Gorilla store here in Las Vegas.
Wii? Pink Gorilla? No, not going there.
Let's not forget I'm an indie author. Here's the second part of my epic trilogy, The Hunt for the Three Roses. After being exiled from his home, Kane has found a new one, working as a housemaid for an honorable count. But his friend Callie, if she can be called that, is still finding a place where she can put her fighting skills to good use. A man from her past, though, is dead set on revenge. He'll use the Thousand Cuts approach to make her wish she had never failed him. Faced with a tough decision, Callie must give herself up, and hope that any goodwill she's earned can come around when she needs it most. You know, playing games is fun and all, but let's not forget the streamers, who want you to watch and pick apart their actions, whether they like it or not.
You're a bird. You know what birds do? They eat their own poo. It's like recycling. What's that? You don't eat your own poo? Why not? You'll be like Al Gore's best friend in the whole world. Don't you want to be Al Gore's best friend? Bird. Birds. What's up, everybody? You know what I love? DPT Gaming. I truly love that man. Like, you know, not in that way, but I love his live streams. I love them almost as much as I love birds. I love you, bird. I love you. Anyway, yes, his live streams are just legendary, truly phenomenal. But just last night, I think he reached his zenith. He can't get any better than this. I mean, mwah, chef's kiss. Let's take a look. So, you play as gorilla in this game, but who would want to play as a gorilla? I mean, seriously, do you know what gorillas do in like real life? You know what gorillas do in real life? They don't eat bananas. No, you only see that in cartoons. They don't eat bananas. You know what they do? They eat their own feces. That's what they do. That's how they get their nutrition. It's like, you know, recycling or something. They recycle their feces, and that's how they stay alive. You know, maybe that's what we should do. But I don't know. I don't think I would want to. But oh man, I just died. I mean, you see what I'm saying about him. You know what I mean. This guy just said, with a straight face, that gorillas eat their own poo to keep themselves sustained. I mean, you can't make this shit up. Well, maybe you can, but it'd be hard. And you know, people say I hate DBT. How can I hate him when he's given me so much joy over the years? And I wish I could bottle some of the joy that he's given me so I could sell it. I'd be a millionaire in no time. DPT, you keep doing you, man. This is Reviewing USA, signing out. I'm going to delete my YouTube channel tomorrow. Apology video soon to come. You blew it, bird. You blew it. You blew it.
Birds, 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 birds. Changed my channel name to Gaming and Books. My two passions rolled into one. Here are the video games I played in the final third of 2025. First is Passion Puzzle Hentai Maidens. No, I'm fucking with you. What I actually played was Persona 3 Reload Episode Aegis. It's only been over a year, but I finally got Persona 3 Reload, and I went immediately into the expansion. I already played the two previous versions of Persona 3, so I was all caught up with the story. It starts out with our heroes winding down their heroic antics by turning in their evokers, which are kind of like guns they use to blow their brains out to summon their personas. Huh. When I put it like that, it doesn't sound very good. Anyway, something called the Abyss of Time shows up, which traps our heroes in their dorm building. So now they have to explore the Abyss and find a way to eliminate it. The main character this time is Aegis, who can now summon multiple personas. And once you know it, she runs like Naruto. Is it actually cool to pretend that your arms are dangling uselessly by your sides? Asking for a friend. You have a total of 7 other characters to bring into your party, who have their own strengths and weaknesses. This is a Persona game, alright, but besides the story, characters, and Persona system, this is a rather basic labyrinth crawler. There are no social links, calendar, or deadlines. You just run down a series of labyrinths, going from one boss fight to the next. Episode Aegis is missing what gives the modern Persona games their special appeal, so sad to say, I didn't especially enjoy my time with it. I'm glad I experienced the story with its special moments, but if I wanted to play something like Etrian Odyssey, I'd play that. I'm also not fond of this practice of DLC, which is not DLC. It's actually content that's locked away behind a paywall. Unless you want to tell me that Episode Aegis is only 1 megabyte large. At least the game looks really good in 4K, with just about perfect resolution. Which makes me wonder why I can't say the same for Metaphor ReFantazio, also from Atlas. Even in 4K on the same machine, there are jaggies and pixelation. Is it due to data compression? Or the fact that it's a proprietary engine instead of Unreal? Next is Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes. I was actually thinking of revisiting 3 Houses, but then remembered I had this in my Switch storage. I'm not big into the Warrior series from Omega Force. I had made an exception for this since it's basically a sequel to Persona 5. I had gotten 3 Hopes because I thought it might be fun to see the story of 3 Houses in another way. In this game, you don't start out as Byleth, but as this guy with a dead purple chicken on his head. He's the one who encounters the heirs to 3 nations and rescues them from a bind. Instead of turn-based strategy, it's time to run all over and swing a sword with simple button combos. Mr. Dead Purple Chicken on his head is a chosen one, of course, with some sassy spiritual being as his guide and source of amazing powers. I was soon given my choice of house to join. I chose the Azure Lions since I never played as them in 3 Houses. It's led by Dimitri, who has that sexy late 90s wet hair look. Makes you want to run your fingers through it, huh? And hope that you don't get pruny skin. As tempting as it was to stick to Mr. Dead Purple Chicken on his head, it was best to play as an assortment of team members. That way they can each get the most experience and level up. But the game's Fire Emblem influence runs deep, as I can go to the map and direct my team to attack various targets. There's also base building, weapons training, class upgrades, and the classic Fire Emblem weapons triangle. So this game was more like a typical Fire Emblem game than I thought. Well, I guess it's now confession time, as I didn't finish it. I didn't even get far. I had hoped this game would get me into the Warrior series, I really did, but I found myself not looking forward to booting the game back up. Running around a battlefield, managing a team in real time, was a little frustrating. But not only that, I always thought the battles in these Warriors games were awfully silly. You're a lone warrior and you're surrounded by foes, most of whom mill around as if they don't even have two brain cells to rub together. Meanwhile, you're the Incredible Hulk, chopping up foes like they're nothing. It just looks and feels really strange. And yes, I know being OP'd is a classic anime trope, so I shouldn't really get my knickers in a bunch, but I can't help how I feel about this game. It wasn't fun and my anticipation for it was low. So I bit the bullet and wrote off this game as a lost cause. I'm not saying it sucks or anything, it just isn't for me. I think I should adopt that wet hair look though. Nah. I got a letter today. The name on the envelope read, Mary. She wrote, I found your little AI girlfriend. I put her in a cell deep underground. Find her if you can, you codswallop son of a bitch. Hugs and kisses, Mary. I don't even know a Mary. She sent this to the wrong guy. I mean, I swear. Silent Hill 2. Have you ever played a survival horror game you couldn't complete? For me, it was the original Silent Hill 2. It was my second playthrough actually, and falling into an empty grave for the second time disturbed me so much I had to put it down. I felt like I was doing something wrong and would inevitably come to a bad end. It was my bad, of course, because everything was going according to script. The remake was low on my radar until I saw it at Target for $50. I figured, what the hell, I wanted to get something. And what I got was a remake with easier play control, but tougher battles. If that makes sense. Enemies will charge you, grab you, do a little dance for you. Not to mention, gang up on you. At least in this game you can dodge, which makes you invincible for a short time. The trick is to get the timing right so that enemy attacks will go right through you. There are firearms, of course, but ammo can be very scarce. My tip for you is to use only melee attacks in the apartment level so you can save much needed ammo for later on. You know, the dancing fountain at the Bellagio can be a wonderful sight. Except that it reminds me of this. Eesh, I'd rather have a golden shower. There are also misshapen mannequins, and everyone's favorite, the faceless nurses. Which would you rather have take care of you? This one or this one? But forget battles, Silent Hill 2 is really about maze navigation. Whether it's an apartment building, a hospital, or a prison, it's all the same. Go here, go there, get this key item and use it in this location. It's usually what survival horror games are about, but it can get a little tiresome. What this game really excels at is atmosphere. Going through dark corridors with your little light, anticipating enemy ambushes, is spooky as hell. Not to mention the other world, a mirror universe filled with decay, filth, and an unnatural starless night sky. It looks like hell as imagined by Clive Barker. It's accompanied by eerie background noise that sounds like more than just wind in a cave. It sounds like the breath of an unseen observer just waiting for your demise. It's what made the original so brilliant and spooky, and it's replicated to great effect here. Writing scrawled on walls is pretty common. One of my favorites is this one. There was a hole here! It's gone now! Not sure what the hell this means, but it was very important to the author. Speaking of holes, here's the look of a man who really likes what he's doing. I remember how fans were concerned about the voice acting in the remake, for they liked how the original voices made the characters seem a little off. Well, the performances in the remake do sound more professional, yet they're keeping in spirit with the original. The characters still sound troubled without being melodramatic like in the PS3 remaster.
Who is it?
Someone very important to me.
I'd do anything if I could be with her again.
This game is known to be buggy, and yeah, I saw a few bugs, such as a cinematic repeating itself, and one item I couldn't pick up because the button prompt didn't work. Fortunately, there was nothing game-breaking, but frame rate drops can be disappointing. I may not be a very big fan of the Silent Hill series, but I'm glad to see Konami recovering from rigor mortis to produce this quality remake of a bona fide classic. Now come on, Konami, try making something brand new for a change. Oh wait, you did? Huh.
Son of a...
Next is Fire Emblem Three Houses. It's a game where you move little people from one square to another. You may laugh, but there are people who do that in real life, and they get all pissy when a computer beats them. Fire Emblem Engage was praised for going back to basics, which means that Three Houses is mostly known as the entry that dared to be different. It's often compared to Persona, and while I'm sure Intelligent Systems were inspired by Persona, I think the comparison is exaggerated. Previous games have had social conversations and skill levels, it's just that this game handles them quite differently. Basically, you're a teacher of war in this monastery, which is hugely ironic when you think about it. You do fun activities with your students to fill their motivation levels. You then expend those levels to raise skill levels of your choosing. And the skill levels of each student determine what new class they can upgrade to. It's a natural flow of progress with plenty of customization. In some previous games, you could only raise skill levels in battles, which made unit development pretty tricky to manage. When not teaching or fighting, you run around the monastery doing quests and side activities. And you look like a damn fool with your sleeves flapping behind you. Seriously, what the hell is up with that? Couldn't a simple cape do? Capes look good enough, I don't care what Spider-Man says. Side activities include fishing, weapon tournaments, sauna sessions, and inviting companions out for tea, such as with Edelgard here. Edelgard loves tea, but be careful, if you serve a tea blend she doesn't like, she'll kill you! Well, no, but she'll be very disappointed. Combat is classic Fire Emblem, with a few new features. You can assign battalions to your units to give them new abilities, and there are great beats with shielding and multiple life bars. Battle isn't fast-paced like in Three Hopes, but this game allowed me to chill out and take my time, with YouTube videos in the background. As long as you know what you're doing, this game can be pretty relaxing, which is a touch ironic, given how the story is one of the more mature ones in the series. We're talking classism, physical abuse, capital punishment. It makes Fire Emblem Engage seem like Pee-wee's Playhouse. The plot twist mid-game was something I did not see coming in my first playthrough, and when I did see it, I thought I had figured out what was going on. Turns out I was wrong about that, because the plot twist isn't variable, it's set in stone. It was pretty daring of the writers to include this twist, and I respect them for it. At any rate, play Engage if you want a solid strategy game, but play Three Houses for a more fulfilling plotline. And yeah, I have some Fire Emblem amiibos, plus amiibo cards. They're much cheaper and work just as well, and they have really good artwork. Except for this female Robin. No such amiibo exists, and female Robin does not look like that in her respective game. I also have the Byleth amiibo, which I will never take out of the box. For, you know, reasons. Thing is, I can't scan it while it's in the box. Talk about your first world problems.
Well, well, aren't we sweet? Oh, look at you with your little arm cannon and Iron Man suit. Oh, I'm sorry, it's actually a power suit. Like you have any power. Oh, look at me, got a real weapon, yeah. My sword is all crooked. It looks like a pair of teeth, ready to chew you up and spit you out. And it can channel lightning too. It's magic versus tech, baby. And magic wins every time. Bitch!
What compels me to do this stuff? Well, anyway, here is Castlevania Symphony of the Night. These are all the Castlevania games I finished beforehand. Yes, even Legends. And yet, I've never played the game that started the Metroidvania style. I thought about doing it last year for Halloween season, but went with something else. Well, this year I had no more excuses to not start up Symphony of the Night. This is the PS4 remaster, because it was either this or spend $200 on a disc I can't start up anyway. Unfortunately, the remaster has the rewritten dialogue from the PSP version, so I didn't have delightfully cheesy lines like, "What is a man? A miserable pile of secrets!" Even though the rewritten dialogue really is better. But you didn't hear that from me. I defeated Dracula as Richter Belmont, waggling my whip in front of him like a Wii controller. But according to the story, Richter disappeared afterward, so now I'm playing as Alucard, the Dampier son of Dracula. In true Castlevania tradition, you can find a pot roast within a crumbling wall. Its sanitary value may be in question, but beggars can't be choosers. The castle is huge, but not unreasonably so. It's ripe for exploration, and I got a feel for the locations of different areas. While playing Fire Emblem, I had to take breaks every 2 hours or so out of mental exhaustion. But for Castlevania, I felt like I could keep on going, just play well into the night. I was driven to fill out the map, find new equipment, and level up. As I had said for Silent Hill 2, you go here, you go there, you pick up key items, and use them in certain places. It's the same for this game, but it was less annoying for me. My progress was slower, and I may have had more ground to cover, but I wasn't constantly swiveling the camera around, looking for button prompts. It also helped that the music was upbeat and catchy. That in itself can go a long way in my enjoyment of the game. Some of the content surprised me, such as statues with naked breasts and penises. They're not well-rendered penises, but come on, there's no mistaking those for baby carrots. And then there's this thing. My god, how many naked zombies can you have? There's no way Nintendo would have allowed something like this on one of their machines. Oh wait, they actually did. Will wonders ever cease? Finding new abilities can help me reach new areas, such as the dreaded clock tower, which was good at kicking my ass. I mean, look at this. I could one-shot those harpies, but with the Medusa heads knocking me back and petrifying me, plus the gears turning me this way and that, I felt like a pachinko puck. The gargoyle boss ended up beating me because I relied too much on my sub-weapon, when really my magic rod main weapon was all I needed. In my next boss battle though, my sub-weapon was a godsend. Who has time to study enemy movement patterns when I could just throw blue fire at them? I'll admit I used online help, although I sometimes found stuff on my own just from exploring. But I never would have guessed that I needed to retrieve 2 rings, silver and gold, to see the game's good ending. After shrugging off spikes like a boss, I met Maria from Rondo of Blood, all grown up. I guess she left behind the silver ring for me to pick up. I put on the 2 rings in the clock room and opened the way to the castle's heart, where Maria waited to test my strength. Sure, it looks like she's kicking my ass, but I won out in the end. She then gave me the holy glasses. I put them on just before meeting Richter and aimed my strikes at the flying green orb. I was then met by the dark sorcerer, Shaft. You're damn right. Shaft summoned what every Castlevania fan knows as the Reverse Castle, which is Dracula's castle upside down. This thing is really weird when you think about it. So, don't. Stepping into the Reverse Castle was kind of surreal. It was at once familiar, yet strange. Candlesticks and chandeliers were upside down, plus statues and this entire tower in the background. I was also plenty nervous because I knew the game was going easy on me up until then. I'd have to step up my game, or the game will step on me. And it did, such as with these plant bitches, which would have been much harder to defeat without blue fire. I followed a map, but took my time, leveling up and going for Alucard's lost equipment. The primary objective is 5 bosses who have Dracula's treasures, such as Frankenstein's monster. After taking care of his creator, the monster must have signed up for acrobatic lessons, because man, look at him go. He was a chump though, one of the easiest bosses of the lot. With all 5 treasures in my collection, I made my way to the Reverse Castle's heart, beat up Shaft, and then confronted Dracula. Yes, this is actually Dracula. And this dude is Dracula. And this dude is Dracula. And even this dude is Dracula. You think I'm kidding, but I'm not. And I actually beat him on my first try. With some kind of food in my hand, look at that. Maybe the remaster is seriously nerfed. Or maybe it was easy because I was level 50 with the best equipment. It's possible. So that's Castlevania Symphony of the Night. And you can now count me as a fan of this one. Alongside this one, I may not be the best player of this type of game when it comes to technique, but the music, level design, and sense of progression made this a fun way to while the hours away. Next up is Bye, Sweet Carol. I have a love-hate relationship with Disney animated movies. An evil sorceress turned into a dragon? Cool! A bunch of fish dancing to Under the Sea? So when I saw the trailer for a game that looked like a dark fairy tale in the Disney Renaissance style, I was intrigued. I thought it would be a great game to help get me into the Halloween spirit. But did it? You play as Lana Benton, a young girl at a British boarding school who's searching for her missing friend, Carol. The other side of the story is this mysterious animal kingdom who sees Lana as their princess. This is essentially an adventure game that's a lot like Clock Tower, with a little broken sword thrown in. You collect and use key items, and have to solve logic puzzles, many of which involve electric circuits. In the third chapter, Lana turns out to be a bunny, so you can switch between her human form and bunny form. As a bunny, she's more quick and agile, able to make long leaps and high jumps. At various points, you're hunted by a predator, whom you'll have to run and hide from, just like in Clock Tower. Unlike in Clock Tower though, there are unlimited continues and very generous checkpoints. I was more in danger of getting stuck on a puzzle than getting set back by an untimely death. Between chapters, I usually got treated to an FMV that wasn't quite Disney quality, but I didn't mind. I did mind the music though, as it's nothing special. It's just atmospheric orchestra, there to fill a void and nothing more. The story can get confusing at times as it shifts between fantasy and reality, but I thought it was tightly told, and things eventually made sense by the end. In conclusion, it's a nice little adventure game for $25, but it's still one of those games that's clearly made by top talent, yet it feels like something is missing. Last year, I played a game that's similar in tone, Little Goody Two Shoes, which was more satisfying due to its personality, style, and multiple endings. Nonetheless, Bye Sweet Carol is an easy recommendation for fans of cozy games. Not so much for others. Next is Shadow of the Tomb Raider. This is Lara Croft. When she wants something, she goes out and gets it. And it's usually adventure. She's one badass bitch, and she doesn't let anyone put her into a corner.
I have to go! I'm the only one!
You're the only one that can what? You don't know that you caused all this, Lara! Not everything is about you!
Oh, no, you didn't! You're gonna get your mouth sewn shut if you keep that up! Oh, but this is Reboot Lara, not original Lara. Reboot Lara is kinder, gentler. She can just sit down with you and chat, and not make the conversation be all about her. Unlike original Lara, Reboot Lara thinks things through and attempts the peaceful approach to situations. Okay, I take that back. She's a little psychopath when she wants to be. I played the previous games in the Survivor trilogy, and for the most part this third game is very similar, with the addition of stealth options during combat. You can hide in bushes and vine-covered walls, and cover yourself in mud for even more reduced visibility. And since enemies are relentless, taking them all out from the shadows should be preferable. The usual bow and arrows are back, but this time I was given firearms much sooner, so I didn't feel like Robin Hood all the time. True to the game's name, there were tombs I could raid, full of traps and precarious platforming, so I could earn stuff like boots or gauntlets. Gotta admit though, I only went through one of them, since it was the story I was mostly curious about. After a quick glance, you'd be forgiven for thinking this game was pushing for realism. But you'd be dead wrong. For one thing, Lara is pretty much superhuman, with inexhaustible stamina and strength. She can grapple a cliffside without tearing an arm out from its socket, and her bare fingers are apparently made of steel. She can shoot an arrow with a heavy rope attached, and the arrow is strong enough to hold the rope in place. And changing directions and rushing waters is no problem. There's even a scene where Lara goes full commando. You ever seen Commando where Arnold Schwarzenegger should have been riddled with 100 bullets? That was totally Lara in this game. Sorry if I didn't record it. And here's a nice old lady who can sell me something called a Wasp 11. That's a type of cleaning appliance, right? And you know what? This is all fine. It's a video game after all, and the Uncharted series is guilty of hyperrealism too. The Tomb Raider Survivor series, though, is the developer's answer to the question, should a video game character be cracking wise while killing people? Their answer is obviously no, which makes for a pretty dry and stiff affair. While the Uncharted games are like Indiana Jones, with their wry wit and sense of fun, the Tomb Raider Survivor games are like Congo, a jungle adventure with some jokes, but otherwise it takes itself way too seriously. Still, the story was pretty surprising, with this inclusion of lore from Incan, Mayan, and even Christian faiths. It's a solid adventure game with very mature and gross content, with many collectibles and side missions, and it has a fairly decent ending boss fight. Unlike this piece of shit.
There's a whole mural under here.
Better get an X-ray in here. Oh, fuck it. Finally, we have Dragon Quest. Yep, just Dragon Quest. I've played many JRPGs, but I've never touched the genre's first blockbuster. With the release of the HD remake, I figured it was about time I rectified that. True to the NES original, you play as only one hero whom you can name. Your task is to find the means of defeating the evil Dragon Lord, and then doing so. There's also a princess to save, because of course there is. The story is a simple hero's journey, as it always was, but the remake adds new NPCs to add some color, such as these would-be heroes who want to save the land same as you, and some guardsmen who are kicking themselves over letting the princess get captured. Again, I never played the original or any of its previous ports, but I still appreciate how the new story scenes make the game more robust. Unfortunately, there is no escaping the battle theme, which might be the worst one in the entire series. Those long initial notes make it a little hard for me to get pumped for battle. I'd rather listen to one of Markiplier's extremely annoying screams.
I'm really scared now!
On second thought, maybe not. On that note, it was a little disappointing that many tracks from Dragon Quest III are repeated here. I learned a few things about the NES original in the Guide to JRPGs, such as how there are only 7 weapons, 7 armor pieces, and 10 spells. Plus the level cap is 30. That certainly doesn't apply to the HD remake, as it incorporates many things from later games, such as mini-medals and chapels. It also eliminates the need to buy torches to light up dungeons, plus keys to open doors. Battles aren't only one-on-one in the remake, but that doesn't mean enemies can't hit like mech trucks. I'm glad to say that I did not succumb to the temptation of lowering the difficulty. I played on normal throughout. I did use an online guide though, because those later bosses are trickier than Tricky Dick, and I needed to know what the hell to do. After collecting numerous bits and bobs throughout the land, I finally came upon the Dragon Lord's castle, which is just across the kingdom's capital. There, the evil tyrant offered me one hell of a deal.
Come, take thy rightful place at my side. Do so, and I will grant unto thee dominion over half this world. What sayest thou?
Don't accept! It's obviously a trap. I mean, he's the Dragon Lord. Of course he'll double-cross you. Yeah, but if you say yes, you won't have to listen to that awful battle theme anymore.
Then let it be so.
It turns out I wake up in an inn, and I get a trophy. It was all a dream. In conclusion, I say the remake has the best rendition of the story, but there is merit in finishing an old school version, if only to test your patience with all its level grinding. As for Dragon Quest II, maybe I'll get to it someday. My backlog just keeps on growing though.
You'll look after me, won't you? I think I must have misheard you. You'll look after me, won't you? I think I must have misheard you. You'll look after me, won't you? I think I must have misheard you. You'll look after me, won't you? I think I must have misheard you. You'll look after me, won't you?
Did I ever tell you the definition of insanity?
And there you have it! I'm ending this video kind of early, but it does feel good to get 2 games out of my backlog. Now let me tell you about my short story, The Girl in Cedar Falls. You can read it on Wattpad.com, or even download the visual novel I made on Itch. Links are in the description. It's about a high schooler named Stu who acts on a dare, asking out on a date the resident goth girl, Lucy. She shuts him down, hard, and ordinarily that would be the end of that. But Lucy has a secret, and when she's caught snooping around the neighborhood, she has a lot of answering to do. Question is, does Stu really want to know what Lucy is on about? Trends come and trends go, and I try not to get too caught up in them. With some trends though, I can't help but wonder if I shouldn't have missed out on them.
We all do it. And we all have to see it. And now, you can win it! As an NFT! It's the latest mobile crypto sensation, Shitstorm! Join millions of players who are collecting the hottest new NFTs! Just send your avatar into the storm. When it comes out, you'll receive one of thousands of poo NFTs. There's dog poo, cat poo, bird poo, elephant poo, crocodile poo, fossilized dinosaur poo, Logan Paul, and the remains of InfoWars. And if you're lucky, you'll get the rarest NFT of them all, the golden poo. Don't miss out. Start your collection and play Shitstorm today. I mean, NFTs were always shit, so why not drop the pretense?